Hello and welcome to another episode of the Common Fan Podcast. Today we have with us the usual suspects, Prasanna, Kovalam, Manan, Puri, and shortly joining us will also be Ritvik, Shekhar. Let's jump straight into the hot topics, starting off with the India versus Afghanistan game. It went exactly as we predicted for most part, including who would be starring in the victory. Our very own Rohit Sharma scoring an amazing ton, and of course, King Kohli seems to be invincible so far in this World Cup. Touch wood. So, Prasanna, thoughts about the game?
Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to everyone tuning in from Australia. Before I start, I pay my traditional respects to the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. What a game, India versus Afghanistan. It was an awesome game. Great to see the players take battle. Also, like to see there was a bit of a match makeup between Kohli and Naveen ul Haq after their shenanigans in the IPL. So it was a great game, and the hitman's back. It's going well for the team. So I'm waiting for the game. But before we get on to the game, let's also talk to Manan and see how he felt about the game and if he ended up going to the game.
Hi guys, so good to be back again. I did not go to the game. Of course, I could not find tickets. And even if I did, I probably would not have gone to one of the common stands because it's very, very difficult to even manage 3 hours of a game time in Firozshah Kotla, thanks to the brilliant infrastructure that there is, and the kind of arrangements that they make for common fans. Regarding the game, you said the big man is back. I will hold my comments till the time he performs against Pakistan or any other bigger team. Because if he does not, then basically call him the Babar Azam of India, wherein he'll only
Mm.
perform against the minnows, and again the
Ouch.
big games with big oppositions he'll hold. Of course, I want him to perform, but I'll wait till he performs at bigger games. However, the innings was just brilliant. The way he was, hooking the short balls and lofting over the bowler's head, it was just so pretty to watch. And I think in general, he has now found a freedom which probably did not, happen in the previous World Cup. While he scored tons, he's now starting really fast, and that's the very good part about his batting that we've been seeing. And I really hope that he continues for his sake through the tournament, because nobody was, as we've talking about, doing this for Rohit like we were doing it was for Sachin earlier, because 2011 the guy could not make it to the team. 2015 performed very well. 2019 was a dream World Cup for him, and that one performance against New Zealand could not get him through. So maybe this is his time, and I really want to. In terms of the match, I think it was almost a perfect game for us. Bowled really well. Jasprit Bumrah, need we say anything more? Yeah, picked up 4 wickets, bowled a bunch of Yorkers and whatnot. And the batting, I think everybody clicked. Even Ishan, 47 was a good game. Kohli, of course, finished off in style, by the way, at the end, that, almost lofted straight drive that he had. So everything going good about the India-Afghanistan game. And now looking forward to the rest of them.
Fantastic. Thanks, Manan. PK, I'd just like to mention that I personally don't think the Naveen ul Haq Kohli rivalry is something that we really should be playing up. I mean, come on, he's like he's small fish. I feel like he's more of a proxy in the fight between Gautam Gambhir and Kohli actually. Although the man did have some nice words to say about Kohli in from the commentary team. I guess there is no choice. You can't be dissing your own team's player sitting in the com box. So, jumping to that next big rivalry, which was we were all quite hyped up for, and I'm sure PK, you are a bit disappointed. Australia getting absolutely thrashed at the hands of South Africa. It's a pleasure to watch Australia getting thrashed by South Africa in most formats, especially in the World Cup. Is like it's just chef's kiss. So yeah, look, takes me back to when I initially started club cricket in Sydney, and my biggest weakness was mostly bowling, because I got like to bowl one over somewhere in the middle overs, and I got tonked for like 16 runs. But then I discovered that, I wasn't shit at bowling as much as I was shit at catching a ball that was coming to me. And that whole season, I did not take a single catch. And yesterday's performance and, Australia's performance against India took me back to those days. It made me fondly nostalgic for my own Butterfingers, because how shit was Australia's fielding? Can we talk for a moment about that?
All right, I'm going to let Manan go first, and then I'm going to talk about it because I've got something to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
going back again, fielding was absolutely shitty. You could see Warner's face when he took the catch. I think it was Marco Jansen's catch in the 49th over, and he was like, "Okay, finally we've got something." But given the performance in the first two games, did anybody tell Mitchell Marsh when he dropped Kohli, "Mate, you've dropped the World Cup"?
well, I guess it is a bit of a stretch to even consider the fact that Australia had their hands on the World Cup to be telling that they dropped it by dropping a catch. If anything, they probably just dropped a few slots down the qualification table. So that's not really much of a sledge, given how lackluster Australia have generally been, and they don't seem to be looking. I don't know. They seem to be lacking the typical ambition that you see of an Australian team in these tournaments this time around. So it's a bit sad. Not for me, of course, but I'm sure like PK with his creepy hat has thoughts about this.
I do. As the only member of the committee sitting in Australia, I was loving it. I was absolutely loving it. I was just it brings out something when you are an anti-Australia fan and someone else except England is beating Australia. There's a sense of Schadenfreude, I suppose. But geez, the feeling's pretty shit, eh? There was like the first catch was unexpected. But the one with Sean Abbott, the one where he caught it, which was fantastic, then throws it for what Mitchell Stark to just look around seeing where he's thrown it. I mean, you expect those kinds of catches to be taken in IPL now. When they first started, it was fantastic, breathtaking, but they're now like table stakes. You're expecting those kind of catches to be taken, even in domestic cricket. So that happened, and then Pat Cummins dropping a catch off his own bowling as well.
What was that over where there were like four misfields in the same over? Remember, they dropped a couple of catches, and then there were like two misfields in that over.
Right.
Maybe one
exactly.
misfield.
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So that was the feeling is just not clicking. And you could say that they had a couple of decisions go their way, go against them, but that it wouldn't have really mattered. I mean, you're not going to really make 130 runs if you're all out for 177 and two decisions go against you. Look, I think Australia really, really needs to take stock of what they're doing. They dropped their wicketkeeper Carey for English.
Yeah. Why did Alex Carey get dropped?
No sense.
After one game.
After one game, yeah. I mean, I think 5 games before that he scored 99. So it's really, really puzzling. I remember one of our competitor podcasters said, you've spent 4 years just looking at 7 players that play all forms of the game. You're not going to get very far. So I think Australia have a lot of questions to answer. And for all our hopes and my hope, I just hope they catch the flight back home and are not there for the semi and quarters.
I just want to make one point here. I just think it's really cute. You think the great cricketers are competitor.
Hashtag Ask TJC.
We've got Ritvik Shekhar joining us, and he's combing his hair on camera just to make sure that he looks spot on. We've been getting a lot of compliments on the podcast about Ritvik bearing a likeness to a young Rohit Sharma. It's a happy coincidence that Rohit Sharma is in a purple patch right now. So, Ritvik, we were discussing the absolute shoddy game that Australia has been playing, much to our pleasure. So, much to our delight. So, do you want to chip in with your 2 cents quickly?
Well, it's been shocking, to be honest. Australia has been an absolute beast in World Cups, and we are not just used to them feeling like that, batting like that, and bowling like that. I personally pray that Australia gets its form back, because they have already played us. But ballistic Australia sledging at the opponents, bowling bouncers, Warner attacking the bowlers, I think that's something I'm looking forward to. So just hoping that the Australians regain some of their form.
All right, so I guess we can expect a cracker of a game against like a Bangladesh or an Afghanistan then when Australia play them next.
I was speaking to my friend, and he's got the Netherlands odds on at $1.05 when the Australia versus Netherlands game goes on.
The next game we'll jump into is today's game, which is Bangladesh versus New Zealand. So let's talk about that for a bit.
Why are we
let's not
talking
talk about it.
Bangladesh?
Well, it's happening in Chepak, and I might be going to the game, so I'm kind of excited.
Come on.
So
Stop it,
So it doesn't
Vijay.
matter.
You're really not going for these games. Come on. Okay, guys, stop it. I've got an interesting story to share about the India-Afghanistan game. So when Farooqi was being tongued around by Rohit Sharma, it reminded me of the 96 game that India and Sri Lanka played at the same venue. Coincidentally, India had batted first and had a very similar score, around 271, on the back of a 137 by Sachin. I remember coming back from school, looking at the scorecard and thinking, hey, we are easily going to win this match. But Jayasuriya and the others had a different plan. Now, those were the days when a certain Manoj Prabhakar used to do something that very few other cricketers have done. That is, open the bowling and batting both. Now, when India batted first, Prabhakar made a horrible 7 out of 35 balls, 35 or 36 balls. When he came back to open the bowling, Jayasuriya hit him out of the park like anything. His first 2 overs were taken for 33 runs. Azharuddin took him to the attack. After a few overs, when no wickets were falling, he was brought back. And funnily, Prabhakar started bowling off spin. And the first over that he bowled, he gave away only 5 runs. Azhar brought him back for another over. He was taken apart again for 9-10 runs or something. But that was the last match that Prabhakar ever played. He was dropped after that, replaced by Sidhu, who scored a brilliant 93 against Pakistan in the quarterfinal. After the World Cup, the match-fixing saga happened, and Prabhakar never played a game for India again. So I really hope that Farooqi is a young man. He has got better fortunes in his favor, and he goes on to have a long career. Back to you guys.
When
that's
you
So,
said,
Manan, that's the
Prabhakar
reason.
hasn't done any, Prabhakar did what very limited career, people did. I was just saying, he's talking about match fixing.
no, I think that's something a lot
Well,
of
that
other people
also.
have done.
Yeah.
But-
So, Manan, this is the reason Ritvik came on a couple of minutes late. He's just
He's probably revising stats. Yeah.
revising.
Yeah.
This I remember there. I didn't have to revise this.
Also, we're still waiting.
And
for
and also
big
to
reveal.
also to make light of the fact that I'm going to the game today and I'm excited. What is this, guys? Anyway, rooting
All
for
right.
New Zealand. Let's hope there's
Yeah.
a cracker of a game there, and Bangladesh. Let's not talk about Bangladesh. Anyway,
Exactly. But for your sake, I will go for New Zealand. Kia ora to my sister-in-law in New Zealand as well. Happy?
all right. We get the family shout outs. We don't think we don't notice it, PK. Jumping to the big game, can we begin with the fact that this game's assumed the form of an Arijit Singh concert right now, and there's a lot of celebrity appearances, and you might tend to forget that there is an actual game that's going to happen on Saturday in Ahmedabad, because the BCCI clearly seems to be making up for the fact that it missed a whole goddamn opening ceremony for a World Cup. And they've decided that now would be a good time to have it and show favoritism for one particular game, which is India versus Pakistan. Not to mention the fact that this game has really put to test not just the BCCI's sense of organization, but also a lot of educated professionals' sense of personal ethics and business ethics. We've been noticing that tickets to the game have been mentioned in a lot of professional networks that we've been in, where there have been people trying to sell these tickets at astronomical prices and justifying their behavior with surprisingly inane platitudes like I'm quoting this one guy from one of my professional networks, and this guy's gone to like a B school. I cannot believe that he got admitted into this B school, because his logic when somebody called him out for selling a ticket at an inflated price in a professional network, mind you, was that philosophy has taught us that there is no moral right or wrong. I mean, excuse my French, but what the fuck?
I think in general, because of the India-Pakistan game and the tickets fiasco, the ethics, the logic, the morals, everything have gone for a toss. at the professional network level, as like you said, people selling tickets at high prices and almost peddling them. It is illegal, by the way. Headline. But
Oh, sorry,
naming
I
them.
have to interrupt here. So when somebody called it out saying it's illegal, the guy goes, well, where does it say that it's illegal? Let the lawyers in the group decide. And then someone literally copy pastes the terms and conditions of the portal saying,
Bookmanship.
well, here is where it says that it's illegal. And the guy does not accept. He's like, oh, but let the lawyers clarify. To each their own. To each their own is not the way to settle, the facts are right there in front of you.
And
Yeah.
the worst is when these people start giving gyan about market forces, demand, supply, and blah blah blah. Arey yaar, matlab, please, really.
But वही हो रहा है ना, that is happening at a country level as well. You don't want to play Pakistan in bilaterals. You avoid playing Pakistan in Pakistan. And when you have a World Cup game, you do all the shenanigans before the game, concerts and marketing and whatnot. So, reminds me of that song from the movie Kala Bazaar, Paisa Bolta Hai. Patriotism go to hell, ethics go to hell. It is about money at the end of the day. So next time anybody comes in and belittles Pakistan and why you're playing them, just show them the mirror, right? It was not about the game today or tomorrow. It is just about making and minting enough money. Hospital beds people are blocking. Hotels are going for 1 lakh each. Yeah, demand supply my ass, man.
Look, I think if I may, look, I obviously speak from a position of privilege. I haven't had to face these issues. I've remembered 2 India-Pakistan games that I've gone to, the 2015 World Cup in Adelaide and the 2022 World Cup, T20 World Cup in the MCG. Both of those tickets were sold very quickly. The Adelaide one, I was surprised. You could still find tickets much later in the cycle. But with the 2022 T20 MCG, it was gone, and there was 94,000 people in there. But even then, the government of Victoria made it very, very clear that ticket scalping was illegal. They encouraged people to dob in their mates who were doing that, and I'll put my hand up and said, I wasn't going to stand for ticket prices being sold for thousands of bucks. So I did dob in a couple of people, and I'll proudly say that. But they were also able to release tickets closer to the game as well, and it was a first come, first serve. And then on top of that, they had reselling agencies and all of that. So it seems like a large part of this was done with pretty poor planning, and unfortunately, that's what's taking the issue. But for me, I've been privileged enough to watch 2 India-Pakistan games, and I remember bringing Vijay along to watch that 2015 World Cup. Vijay, if you remember the Kohli century.
Yes, that's the game that we planned almost a year in advance, and we actually booked our tickets and we spoke about how well planned that was. But jumping to the atmosphere of the rivalry itself, all of these logistics and all of these moral depravities apart, don't forget Pakistan's had this major thumping of Sri Lanka in their last game. They're riding pretty high on form. So it's going to be an amazing game, in my opinion, because their batsmen are in form. I think Babar's the decoy, to be honest. Everybody puts Babar in that pedestal, and then we're focusing on how to get him out when everyone around him is actually peaking at the right times for Pakistan. So it's going to be a pretty interesting encounter, is my opinion on this.
Guys, I don't know if you guys read it or not, but that tweet about Rizwan, which I shared last night, a journalist from Ashtak had tweeted that it's been an hour. Rizwan has still not left the nets. He's practicing reverse sweeps and sweeps against a local Chinaman bowler, probably preparing himself for a certain Kuldeep Yadav. Now, that small tweet set the mahal up for me, because Rizwan is one of those players from the 90s, Salim Malik, Ijaz Ahmed. They may not do that well against any other side, but against India, these guys used to definitely fire. So I think it's going to be a cracker of a game. The likes of Rizwan, Babar, and all, they're going to come all guns blazing, and let's see how we respond.
Prasanna.
Yeah.
My thing is, look, there's no reason to hype this game more than what it needs to. It is the game. I'm actually going to be very interested to see how the India batters approach the Pakistan bowlers. Actually, you've got Shaheen Shah Afridi. He's been tonked quite a few times, and then you've and they're coming in a spinner shot, I think, with an injury. So, I'm really keen to see how our batters fare. Now, the big question is, will Shubman Gill play? I really hope he does, and once again, I really wish that he gets better soon. It's dengue is not a thing to be taken lightly, but I really, really do hope that he plays. And if not, what happens to the top order? Does Ishan Kishan still open? Does Sky still stay? Is it Shreyas versus Sky versus whoever? It's all that question. And then on top of that, do we bring back Ashwin? And so that's the big thing that I really, really like to see. I reckon it's going to be a cracker of a game. Can't say
I can see Ritvik nodding furiously. I can see Ritvik nodding furiously at the Ishan Kishan opening question. But
Yes,
who else would open in his
one more
place?
point. So Shami has played a lot at the Ahmedabad Stadium because of his Gujarat Titans affinity. So he may be playing this game. I don't know.
But I'd sorry, cut. I would field at least 6 batsmen or 7, considering a top order collapse that might happen. Like I mentioned before, Rohit has performed brilliantly well against Afghanistan, but against Shaheen Shah Afridi, it's still early days. I have to count him as the guy who will talk them around. So I would beef up the batting, honestly, and again, take a punt on the bowling and have Shami in the team. Maybe take out Siraj because of last game's performance against Afghanistan. But I like the point about Shami because he needs to play and he is sort of a big game player as well, especially at Ahmedabad. So the team combination will be a very, very tricky one. Let's see how that pans out. And looking forward to the game. And other than the folks that we mentioned in Pakistan's batting, there is Shafiq and Iftikhar. These two folks are the true dark horses according to me, because people focus on Rizwan also now. People focus on Babar, but these two folks, just come in, inevitably score a quick 50, quick 70, and then take the game away from the opposition. So yeah, it'll be a very fun contest. Again, statistically, if the game washes out, it'll be fun even more, considering all the hula hoop around with tickets, with fights on the professional networks, and all the celebrations, etc. But I hope that does not happen. But if that does, the sadist in me will be laughing all the way.
If that happens, we'll immediately go for a quick podcast episode just to share the sadistic pleasure amongst us. That'll be like a nice middle finger to all of these lumpen elements of society that have revealed themselves during this sensitive time for India and Pakistan. Anyway, closing thoughts on the week's games, especially the big encounter coming up tomorrow, India versus Pakistan. PK, we'll start with you.
Oh, look, I really hope Arjit Singh sings the Jhumka Girare. Oh, no, sorry, we're talking about the game. Sorry. My thoughts, I reckon India, obviously, bleed blue. I really hope it's some great wickets and some really good runs, and I hope to see a Kohli century as well.
Manan.
About the game, I think player to watch out for, and it could be Shreyas Iyer this time around, because he has been showing promise. Only if he starts, with spin around. If he, of course, comes in at 2 down for 10, then it'll be very difficult for him to kind of do well. But if he comes in slightly later in the game, I'm looking forward to watching him. And of course, Jasprit Bumrah, as always. Again, do we even, on the other spectrum, want to talk about him? He'll come in, he'll do his business, and move on, right? So those would be my 2 picks for the game. What about you, Ritvik?
Well, Virat definitely. My only worry is the law of averages. Now, Virat has had a great record against Pakistan. He probably played his most memorable game ever in the last T20 World Cup, but he has scored runs in the first 2 games here. So I'm a little worried about the biggest demon, the law of averages, to catch up with him. But we need Virat to fire. Bowling, yes, Bumrah definitely. He can very well be the difference between the 2 sides. Apart from that, I really hope that there's some crackdown on all those guys in our professional network who have been blacking tickets after this. Kahin se koi complaint, kuch bhi portal ho just pe chala jaye, then I would really enjoy that.
We have a resident dauber here, so maybe he can make an international call and throw some names around to the authorities.
Somebody in the same network was also mentioning that reselling tickets is just a business, and we have all come from a business school, so it's fine.
Yeah, which is when the ethics and morality debate happened, and somebody was like, "Oh, right and wrong is all subjective in philosophy, and that's what it's taught us." And I'm like, "No, that's not what philosophy should have taught you."
Probably we should have replied, "My business is my business."
Yeah, I was about to say that.
So my bet is on Virat Kohli, of course, and I'm also betting on KL Rahul because he's been going through a really good phase right now, and I'm slowly turning into a fan. In the bowling department, I feel like Jasprit Bumrah is going to come to the party and take a whole bunch of wickets. There will, I'm sure, be a lot of other interesting performances during the game. Let's see what those are.
Yeah,
Excited.
and when I said I'm looking forward to Shreyas Iyer performing, I meant on the field during the game and not in the opening ceremony.
Not in a
Because they
banyan.
might just not in a banyan, right? So they might just rope him in.
Of course. All right, that's it for this episode, and we'll see you on the other side of the greatest encounter of all time, as it's touted to be, India versus Pakistan in this World Cup. Thank you for joining us on the Common Fan Podcast, brought to you by Manan, Puri, Ritvik, Shekhar, Prasanna, Kovalam, and I'm Vijaynarain. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.